not to help us to solve it, but to ensure their income. And that's leading us to what we called the BDS. I think that the BDS, one of the most miserable organizations that I ever heard about. I used to fight in the US universities campuses with those people. They are just coming to attend in turn to disturb rather than to learn what's really going on. We are talking about a couple of thousands of people who used to be jobless and they found a job forever because they know that the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is unsolvable conflict. So they are using us rather than they are benefiting us. I remember a few years ago, I went to South Africa for 4 times to participate in the so-called the Apartheid Week, Israel Apartheid Week. And I used to meet with hundreds of BDS people over there. And one day, a journalist called me and he said, I want to make a very long interview with you. I said, it's okay. We met one day in the morning. We talked for 2 hours, mainly about the BDS. And afterwards, he went back to his work and he called one of the BDS members to get his reaction on what I said. Then the BDS member told the journalist that Mr. Eid is right, that the Palestinians are really suffering from our activities. But it's going to be a short-term suffer, a long-term benefit. You know who told us this slogan? Short-term suffer, long-term benefit? The Arab leaders after the 1948 war. When they opened their borders, to the Palestinian refugees, by saying it is a very short term of suffer, long term of benefit. And almost 75 years passed. We didn't see any benefit. So that's exactly the BDS repeating what the Arab leader said in 1948. I met 3 years ago some students who came from South Africa on a visit to Israel. And I was invited to lecture for them. We took them to Ramallah. I took them to a very nice project in Ramallah called Rawabi. And these people didn't believe that this is the daily life of the Palestinians under the Israelis. When these people went back to South Africa, a journalist met with them to take their reaction about their visit to Israel, how they are looking at the situation there. Among the others, they told the journalist that when they decided to go on a visit to Israel, the BDS in South Africa approached them. And the BDS tried to convince them not to make that. While they reject the demand, what the BDS suggested for them, that each of them will have $4,000 US if he will cancel his trip to Israel. Look how much money. We are talking about 12 students here. Look how much money. From where the BDS is bringing is such a huge amount of money. This is a very big question. How the BDS allow to themselves to bribe people in turn not to make their visit to Israel. This is how the BDS is working. And the BDS knows themselves much better than I know them. I don't think that the BDS can be considered as a human rights organization as they are claiming. I think that they are violators of human rights. So the BDS is not exist, by the way, among the Palestinians in the West Bank or in Gaza or in any other Arab country. They are not exist. They know that if they will appear, they will be in prison forever. They know that very well. So it's much better to be in their warm houses in Los Angeles, in London, in Paris. This is how they can use the Palestinians. But if the BDS one day will appear in a refugee camp in the West Bank and calling the Palestinians to boycott Israel, I think that the people are going to throw shoes on them. Because what is the alternative? What is the alternative? Okay, I want to boycott Israel, and then will you find me a job? Will you secure the surviving of my children? At all not. At all not. We know about thousands of Palestinian workers who lost their jobs because the activities of the BDS, and what they get from the BDS, zero. Zero. Now that's leading me much further to 1968, 1 year after the 67 war. The Arab League made a summit in 1968 in Sudan, in Khartoum, to discuss the Israeli occupation to the Palestinian territories. And the conclusion of the Arab League in that time was that they came out with the 3 big no. No recognition in Israel, no normalization with Israel, no peace with Israel. That's happened in August 1968. Now, since that time until today, look how things were completely changed. Egypt made peace with Israel in 1979. Palestinians made peace with Israel in 1993. Jordan made peace with Israel in 1994. 2 years ago, August 2020, we remember the Abraham's Accord with the United Arab Emirates, with the Kingdom of Bahrain, with the Kingdom of Morocco, and right now, by the way, Sudan also inside, but not officially. Not officially. Saudi is inside, but not officially. While the Saudis allowed to the Israeli planes to use their own airspace, I can imagine what's really going on. Why Qatar is allowing Israelis to travel direct from Ben Gurion to Doha, I can understand what's really going on. So I think that the Arab leaders these days almost changed their minds towards Israel. And while the Iranian threat increasing, that will put more and more pressure on the Arabs to be more close to the Israelis. Because the Israelis who can defend the Arabs, not the United States, not the United Kingdom, the Israelis. The Israelis are neighbors. The Israelis are so close to each Arab country. So while the Arab leaders start changing their minds, I believe that in the meantime, the Arab leaders are going to change the minds of their own people. What we saw during the Mundial in Qatar, it was horrible. How people look to the Israelis. I have a friend of mine who's working with the N12, the Israeli TV. He was attacked there by Arabs and by Palestinians, by the way. This is something unbelievable. I think that the Qataris shows the hatred very clear, and they allow such gangsters to follow the Israelis and to threat the Israelis in the streets and in the restaurants over there. It's very sad to see that, but I'm a very optimistic person that probably things will be changed very soon. Now, I am a person who is going around, traveling around the world, calling to provide economy to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. In politics, we almost failed. Let us try something more important, which is the economic prosperity. I believe that the economic prosperity it probably will pave the way towards a future peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. If you will come today to any ordinary Palestinian and asking him, what are the most three priorities that you are seeking? He will say a job to survive, to secure the education system and the health system for my children. Nobody is talking about the wall. Nobody is talking about settlements. Nobody even talking about the foundation of the Palestinian state, which means that the majority of the Palestinians almost lost the trust in their own leadership. And here I'm talking about the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. We know how much the leadership in the West Bank are corrupt, but I think that in Gaza, they are much more corrupt. People are suffering. You couldn't believe that people in Gaza are working for 12 hours for 10 shekels, $3. 12 hours working for 10 Israeli shekels. While in Israel, at least he can get $300, 300 shekel a day. And this is why people trying to smuggle through the checkpoints in turn to have a kind of dignity. This is dignity. I used to say all the time that the majority of the Palestinians these days are people who are seeking dignity rather than identity. With a respect salary, he can feel the dignity. But to work 12 hours in 10 shekels, this is really a disaster. I used to visit some refugee camps in the West Bank. And I used to teach my colleagues over there that homeland is not the place where you born. Homeland is the place where you can find dignity, justice, and freedoms. This is the real homeland, but not the place where you born. I think that the Palestinians are so frustrated today, they don't believe that any peace will take place with the Israelis soon. I don't think that the current Palestinian leadership is interested in any peace with Israel. And the support that the Palestinian Authority having is only through the international community. Because the international community continue with their aid, with their fund, with their financial support. But in the meantime, the international community never ever tried to put any kind of pressure on the Palestinian Authority that you must have to resume the peace negotiations with the Israelis. Sometimes some leaders in Europe may standing up by saying that if Israel is not going to resume the peace negotiations with the Palestinians, we are going to recognize the Palestinian state. Excuse me, which state you are going to recognize? A state which is in a lack of economy of state. A state which is in a lack of infrastructure of state. A state where is 2/3 of its population. I don't think that this is the state that we want. I don't think that this is the state that we are dreaming for. I think that the state must have to be built before it's recognized. And this is one important thing that the European leaders should have to start understanding. A lot of money has been donated to the Palestinian Authority since 93, 94 until today. But in the meantime, I didn't see one university has been built by the Palestinian Authority or one hospital has been built by the Palestinian Authority. So where is the money is going? Europe knows that the Palestinian Authority is so corrupt, but they are not care. They are not care. They are much more care that at the end of the year, the leader standing up in Europe by saying we donated to the Palestinians $200 million. Then everybody starts clapping for him. That's the most important thing. But what about the Palestinian individuals? Nobody is care about them. Nobody is care about them. So the picture is a disaster. Don't expect that any peace will take place very soon between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I used to say that we, the Palestinians, probably need 2 or 3 generations in terms to reach peace between the Palestinians and the Israelis. And we are talking about 90 or 100 coming years. It's not going to be easy. Now we are waiting for the new Israeli government. The Israelis are warning from the new government, not anybody else. Benny Gantz is warning. Yair Lapid is warning. All those people are warning from the coming Israeli government. Which kind of government really we are going to receive? I am doubt if I know. But in the meantime, I don't believe that the coming government is going to initiate any kind of negotiations with the Palestinians towards peace. Ben Gvir will never meet Abbas. Smotrich will never meet Abbas. Netanyahu will never meet Abbas. So these are the heads, let's say, of the coming new government. What the Palestinians should have to do, I think that the Palestinians should have to keep themselves very quiet. If they are really interested to improve their daily economy, they must have to keep very quiet. Otherwise, it's going to be a disaster. I believe that these days, Gaza almost have around 20,000 working permits, which never happened since 2005, since the Israeli disengagement from Gaza. only last year, Naftali Bennett allowed to 20,000 Palestinian workers from Gaza to enter every day to work in Israel and to go back. And that's improving the economy of the Gaza people. We are talking about billions of shekels a month, which is coming to Gaza through the 20,000 Palestinian workers. Imagine if the Hamas tomorrow will decide to shoot a rocket towards Israel. The first punishment that Israel is going to cancel the 20,000 working permits. And that's will push the people backward. Now, are the Hamas really aware about what is going on? Are the Hamas aware about which kind of government is coming very soon in Israel? I hope that they are aware. I hope that they know. But unfortunately, the Arab leaders everywhere in any Arab country are less and less care about their own people. And that's making me a little bit worried about the future of the Palestinians under the Hamas, under the Abbas, and in front of the new rightist, let's call it, Israeli government. So the situation is not that good. And the situation, it might be worse. We can see the violence right now everywhere. Everywhere. And nobody is able right now to decrease the violence, mainly from the Palestinian side. Every day we have a new incident. Every day we have killed people or injured people from the both sides, by the way. And I hope that the international community will wake up one day and try to put more and more pressure, let's say, on the both sides in terms to resume the negotiations and probably to reach a kind of a ceasefire. You know, today I'm calling for ceasefire. I'm not calling for peace, because peace is impossible. At least to try to achieve a kind of a ceasefire in terms to decrease the current violence between the Israelis and the Palestinians. I probably will stop right now and opening the floor for Q&A. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi. First of all, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It was very insightful to hear things to say. And I'm Israeli. And I think that for me, it's a great opportunity to ask you a question that I want to ask for quite a long time.
Yeah.
I completely agree with you about the politicians. But when I'm looking on the Israeli society in the past, I would say 30 years, I think that the Israeli society made a huge step towards this.
Yeah.
If like 50 years ago, nobody would imagine to withdraw from Gaza or from parts of Judea and Samaria. I think that today the major component of the Israeli society supports that two-state solution and peace and exchange territories for peace. But my question is about the Palestinian society, because after such a long term of suffering, I would expect to see thousands of assemblies.
Yeah.
I would expect to see more NGOs. And of course, I'm aware that the Palestinian Authority acts, it's not a democracy, it's not
Yes.
an Israel.
Right.
I know that it's complicated.
Yeah.
But my feeling is that when I'm testing the Palestinian society, I'm getting the impression that they didn't move it an inch from where they were 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So my question is, where is the society? And you know, only 24 hours ago, a Palestinian with a working permit in Israel,
Yeah.
killed an Israeli soldier
Yeah.
in Israel.
45 years old and a father of 6.
Yeah.
This is
Correct.
unbelievable.
And he was a great son. He
Yeah.
had a great son.
Unbelievable.
The working permit in Israel
Right.
is the most exclusive thing you can
Right.
have.
Now, when you ask about where is the Palestinian society, I think that we stuck somewhere, but we don't know where. We stuck somewhere. Beside that, the Palestinian Authority trying to impose more and more fear on the Palestinians when anything comes towards the Israelis. If I am a Palestinian businessman and I want to cooperate with an Israeli businessman, immediately they will come and arrest me. They don't want. They don't want. This is one of the major problems. We don't have opposition for Mahmoud Abbas. We don't have opposition. In each Arab world, opposition is out of the country. The opposition of Syria, they are in the UK. Yeah. The opposition of Jordan, they are in the United States. There is no opposition under the Arab regime. So this is one of the major problems here, that without opposition, society couldn't develop and couldn't grow up. This is one of the major problems. Now, towards the Israelis, I agree with you. The Israelis did a lot. The Israelis did a lot. Unfortunately, the Palestinian Authority rejected everything. The Palestinian Authority, not the Palestinians. Because as a Palestinian, what I can do? I couldn't resume negotiations tomorrow morning between myself and Bibi Netanyahu. It should go through Abbas and Bibi Netanyahu. Now, on the other side, I think that our violence as Palestinians push the Israelis more and more to the right. No doubt about it. I think that the majority of the Israeli society these days are right-wing, not left-wing. That's because of our own violence. I think I went once, to Kalkilia in the north, and I went to the house that the wall is just 40 centimeters from the main entrance of the house. And I came to the owner and they said, come on, how this happened? He said, you ask me how it's happened? It's happened from us, not from the Israelis. Because of our suicide bombing, the wall came here. Thanks to God that it's not cutting my house to 2 houses, yeah? It's nearby. It's ours. It's our fault, not the Israeli fault. And I totally agree. I totally agree. Each country, each society has the full right to protect itself in any way. So this is unfortunately where we are. And as I said, we stuck, but we don't know exactly where we stuck. We need someone to go and to look after us. Now, sometimes people coming and saying, Abbas is very old, 87.5 years. He probably in 6 months, 1 year, he will go. Then probably the solution will be much easier after Abbas. I don't think so. I don't think so. I used to say with Abbas, it's a problem. Without Abbas, it might be tragedy. Because each Fatah member wants to be president. A big fight is going to take place among the Fatah themselves, leave the Hamas. I'm talking about the West Bank. The Fatah almost divided to several different parties. And those people are going to fight each other. And probably Israel should have to interfere in terms to keep, the street under order here. So it's not going to be easy. No one can imagine who is really going to replace Abbas. No one around the world. We don't know. We don't know. But I hope that the Palestinians will start realizing the facts on the ground, that with violence, we'll never ever be able to achieve anything. We already practice all kinds of violence, and we are just losing day by day. So I hope that the people will wake up one day. Thank you. Please.
Yes. As you said, you work with the media, and in my university, Westminster University, the former director of Al Jazeera, Wala Akthar, was a host at an event. And while I did my research on him, because obviously he has a bit of package, I came up, and it's good that I meet you. Al Jazeera, and especially their Arabic section. What do you think has mainly Al Jazeera, but other media on kind of either radicalization or peace in the whole region?
See, I'm a person who considers the media as a biased media. I think that the media almost lost the ethics of journalism. I'm talking about all of the media, including the Israeli media. I think that reporters and journalists trying much more to practice or to provide their own political views on each incident happening in Israel or in the West Bank. I know a lot of journalists who are writing long articles about Jenin as an example, but he don't know exactly where is Jenin on the map. He never been in Jenin. He picked the telephone here, a source there, a journalist there, and he made, a big daisa, as the Israelis said. When you read the article, you couldn't understand anything, because he's trying much more to reflect his own political views on what is going on. So media, don't trust media. If it is Al Jazeera or Al Arabiya or whatever, or New York Times or CNN, whatever, don't trust media. Try to find your own sources to know what's really going on in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. But media is the last thing probably that I think to approach or to read it. Yeah. Yes, please. You.
I know that this was really inspiring and gave a really nuanced perspective.
Thank you.
I was wondering for you as an individual, whenever you go home, what's generally the type of reaction that you get?
See, sometimes I used to say that I am feeling much more safe in Jericho than to be in New York. People knows me very well. I was arrested by Yasser Arafat in 1996. But I was so lucky that I got US Secretary Christopher under Bill Clinton administration. He is the one who picked up the telephone and he talked to Arafat and he gave Arafat 5 minutes to release me. And I was released. That gave me almost a huge impunity from the Palestinian Authority. I am living in Jericho since 2002 until today, which is completely under the Palestinian Authority jurisdiction. I worked with the Israeli TV for 14 years, from 2000 until 2014, appearing every week in a live program with some other Palestinians talking about the situation. I was very critical to the Palestinian Authority, and it was in Arabic. And after the program, I used to drive my car and go to sleep in Jericho. I don't remember that since 2002 until today, any one of the Palestinian Authority tried to knock my door. In the meantime, when I am appearing in some Palestinian places, people coming to me and said, listen, we watched you yesterday. You was excellent. You was excellent. People used to tell me that we are not Bassam Eid. We have one Bassam Eid. We don't have the impunity that you have. And this is why we couldn't stand up and speak loudly against the Palestinian Authority. But when we are talking between ourselves, I think that people much more harsh than I am towards the Palestinian Authority. And I am getting, my information through those people that I am meeting. So I am feeling very safe. People who used to ask me about my safety, I used to ask them if they are running any insurance companies. Yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you for your talk.
Thank you.
Very, very inspiring and very informative. You recently, just in this talk, you said that it's very easy for people in the BDS to sit in their warm homes in Los Angeles, London, Paris, and say the things they say. Would you say that is influenced a lot by the rhetoric of Palestinian immigrants to the West? And if so, what can be done about that, especially since a lot of them have no first-hand experience with the region themselves?
No, I didn't get that question.
So would you say that most of the division that we see in the West and the Palestinian perspective is not actually the perspective of the people that you talk to every day?
Yeah, but I think the problem is that those people who are speaking Arabic, it didn't mean definitely that they are Palestinians. I met people from Pakistan that they are members in the BDS. I met people from Bangladesh. Bangladesh is one of the most horrible places in the world. Yeah, instead to come and to talk about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, go and recorrect what's going on in your own country. Yeah, Bangladesh and another country there. So it doesn't mean necessarily that those people are Palestinians. Sometimes they are trying to present themselves as a Palestinians. Because if he will say, I am from Bangladesh, then you will stand very, let's say, angry by saying, if you are from Bangladesh, why you involved in the Israeli battle? So he is trying to represent himself as a Palestinian, as born in one of the refugee camps, as his cousin has been killed by the Israelis, and he can tell you, million stories in 1 hour. But necessarily, it doesn't mean necessarily that he is Palestinian. This is one of the major problems here. I met a lot, by the way, a lot who speaks fluent Arabic here, but I found that these people are not Palestinians at all. He was Syrian. He was Syrian. So this is one of the major problems, that people thinking that those who are trying, to be involved in the BDS are Palestinians from the West Bank or from the Gaza Strip. But it doesn't mean necessarily that they are. But these people, they found a job. They get salaries. There are parliaments around the world who are supporting the BDS, especially if we look to the Scandinavians, countries like Sweden, Denmark, Finland, and Norway. A lot of money is coming a Jewish guy, Soros, who has a big foundation in the United States, is one of the big funders of the BDS. Come on, what you are doing? What you are doing? The money that you are giving to the BDS, try to invest it in the West Bank or in the Gaza Strip. That will benefit the Palestinians much more than the BDS themselves. So this is, you know, a big story. The issue of the BDS is really a big story, but in the meantime, I didn't see that the BDS has any kind of effect on Israel or the Israelis, as an example. I want to tell you that a few months ago, Israel signed an agreement with Jordan that Israel is going to export natural gas to Jordan for 10 years in $15 billion. What is the BDS? What is the BDS? I didn't see the BDS made one comment. One comment. The BDS is running, you know, to close a factory of bagel in one of the settlements with the 25 Palestinian workers. This is not the real income for Israel. This is not an income for Israel. The income for Israel is from the military equipment and from the high tech. And the BDS couldn't touch that. Couldn't touch that. Israel every day is selling military equipment, mainly to the Arab countries. Mainly to the Arab countries. Where is the BDS here? So what they are doing is only affecting and harassing the Palestinians. Yes, please.
It doesn't seem like there's a effective sort of opposition to BDS. Most criticism you see of it says that it's blatantly anti-Semitic and that it's only wants to protest, etc. Mainly people call it anti-Semitic,
Yeah,
which even if it is,
these people.
is there, what would you say is in actually like is an effective way of countering of criticizing them if like since like boycott, divestment, and sanctions, if it's disproven completely because they're not going to be able to stop high tech or military equipment, etc.
Yeah, they can't stop nothing.
Yeah, so what's the way that you would, how would you go about trying to get governments to stop giving them money? Or how would you try to get the Rockefellers to stop giving money?
I think that this is a big problem right now. The whole issue of financing the BDS is a big issue. But if you will take Switzerland as an example, Switzerland last year decided to put out a law prohibiting any funding to the BDS. And they consider the BDS as anti-Semitic organization. I think recently I heard in Holland, they also probably will repeat the action which has been taken in Switzerland. I think that this is the only way that the parliamentarians themselves should have to stand up very strongly, yeah, and to start fighting those people. I don't think that those people are benefiting the conflict in a way or another. I think that the money, we are talking about millions of dollars. If that money will be invested in the West Bank or in Gaza, I believe that's will benefit the Palestinians much more. And that's, I met, you know, some parliamentarians yesterday in the parliament here, and I mentioned the issue of the peace. And I tried, you know, to push them to raise the issue in the parliament. And they should have to be the first soldiers who should have to start fighting the BDS. The BDS is causing a huge damage to the Palestinian families. A huge damage. As I said, they have no effect on the Israelis at all. At all. I want to tell you another thing. We remember 3 years ago the Soda Stream in the West Bank, which moved from the West Bank to the south of Israel. You couldn't believe, if I will tell you, that today the income of the Soda Stream is triple than it used to be in the West Bank. Triple. The factory is much bigger, much more workers working there, and they are making money. The income is triple than it was in the West Bank. So who was the loser here? The Palestinian workers from the West Bank, that they couldn't go to the south of Israel and to work in the Soda Stream. So what the BDS really achieved here? Now the BDS saying that the Soda Stream in the south has been built on a land which is confiscated from Palestinians. Look, still they are running out there. Still they are running out there. But the Soda Stream, I met one of the directors there, and he is very happy to be in the south of Israel. Very happy. So what the BDS really did here, in my opinion, nothing. So I think that the parliamentarians who should have to stand up and start fighting is such kind of phenomenon. Yes, please.
You said that the money should be invested in the Gaza Strip and West Bank, but any money that's invested in Gaza is probably going to Hamas. So how is it going to benefit?
No one is investing in Gaza.
Yeah, but you said that all the money, like the money that goes to BDS,
Yeah.
should be. If
Yeah, I think that this is something, you know, that leaders should have to meet and to decide and to put out a plan by coming to the Hamas and saying, listen, we are going to invest billions of dollars here. Will you keep quiet? Are you going really to shoot rockets towards Israel? Tell us. Because shooting rockets, that will kill the investment in Gaza. That will kill. I think that governments knows exactly how to make agreements. And such kind of investment in Gaza need a kind of agreement. If the Hamas will agree, if Egypt will guarantee that the Hamas will never shoot any rockets, I think that probably this idea will work. Without that, it's useless to invest even $1 right now in the Gaza Strip. Yeah. Yes, please.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
interesting lecture. So you mentioned in the beginning that the Saudi Arabia and the other Arab countries are cooling down when it comes to the support of the Palestine.
Yeah.
I was wondering, in that case, does that open up space for Iran perhaps to expand its influence among the Palestinians? Does that happen? And if it does happen, how is the case?
See, no doubt that the Iranians are using the Palestinians. The whole Gaza Strip is functioning under the orders of Iran.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Hamas, we have the Islamic Jihad. The Islamic Jihad even more miserable than the Hamas. And this is something which the Palestinians couldn't do anything to disconnect between the Gaza Strip and Iran. I believe that there are some Iranian engineers right now inside the Gaza Strip who are making the rockets. And a lot of pressure from the Arab countries, from Israel, from Egypt on Hamas in terms to disconnect them from Iran, but looks like to me that that's really impossible. Impossible. We can see how the Hamas leaders traveling, meeting with those thieves of Iran like Khamenei and Raisi, and getting the money and getting the experience and getting everything from there. I don't think that right now anyone is able to disconnect Gaza from Iran. But beside Gaza, I don't think that the Iranian has any other influence on the Palestinians in the West Bank or on any other Arab country, by the way. You know, the Arabs almost boycott Iran. Not only the Arabs, but also the Muslims countries. They have only Russia, they have only China. These are the only two countries that they open, you know, towards the Iranians. But not Egypt, not Saudi Arabia, not Malaysia, not Indonesia, not all of these big countries, let's say. But let us hope that one day things will be changed and the Hamas will disconnect their relationship with Iran. Let us hope, yeah. Okay, let us take, what's the time now? Yeah. Yes,
We have one more question from Zoom.
yes, please.
So Sonia is asking, what does Bassam Eid can we do about this seriously based media coverage? For example, our own Guardian, which never moved beyond the pluralism viewpoint and clearly has no clue about Palestinians' reality on the ground.
Not that much that we can do. Probably not to buy the newspaper. This is the only thing that I can suggest to you. And I want to tell you that in 2016, I came here to the UK. I was invited by an organization called Henry Jackson Society. And Henry Jackson Society asked me to make a small research about human rights violations under Abbas and Hamas in Gaza. I made the research, I sent it here, they edited, they printed in a very nice cover booklet, and they invited me to come to present the research for some parliamentarians here in the UK. So I present the research, I gave them copies, I talk about the context of the research. You couldn't believe that no one UK newspaper mentioned the research. No one. Imagine if that research was on the Israeli violations. I think that the Guardian will start reporting for 1 week about it. 1 week. So unfortunately, as I said, media is very biased, not only in the UK, but take the United States as an example. Take France as an example, take Spain as an example. It's unbelievable. But unfortunately, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't do that much in terms to stop such kind of propaganda that the media try to create around the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Yeah.
Just one last question, out of curiosity.
Yes.
Did you ever meet or talk with Omar Barghouti?
Who? Me, myself? No. No. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story about Omar Barghouti. There is a journalist from an Israeli newspaper from Yediot Ahronot. He decided one day to go to Beit Rima, where Omar Barghouti born, and to talk with people what they know about Omar Barghouti. You know, he graduated from Tel Aviv University. He get married with an Israeli Arab lady. And right now, he applied for reunification to the Israeli authorities. Means that he wants to get an Israeli ID because his wife is holding an Israeli ID. According to the law, he can apply for reunification. I don't think that Ayelet Shaked will give him such chance to get the Israeli ID. The journalist went to Beprima and he talked with people. Do you know Omar Barghouti? Yes, I know. What do you know about Omar Barghouti? I know that he graduated from Tel Aviv University, yes. And I know that he get married with an Israeli Arab. What else you know about Omar Barghouti? Nothing, that's all. No one mentioned that Omar Barghouti is involved in the BDS. No one. His village, people from his village, they have no idea what is BDS and how and if Omar Barghouti involved in that or not. No one. So people don't remember him. But the majority of the Palestinians, by the way, has no idea what is the BDS. I remember that 3 years ago, a survey made in one of the Palestinian universities, Al-Quds University. Al-Quds University. And the question was, do you know BDS? You couldn't believe 90% said that they never heard about it. 90%. And we are talking about university students. 90% said they never heard about the BDS. What is the BDS? I have a friend who used to work in the Soda Stream. And one day I went to a village called Azariah near Jerusalem and I met with him. And he came to me and he said, you know, they kicked me out from work. I said, why? He said they want to close the factory. They want to move it to the south of Israel. I said, you know, Abdullah, you know who kicked you out from your work? He said, whom? I said, the BDS. He said, what? Show me the BDS. I want to kill him. He thought that the BDS is a person. Yeah, he has no idea. He never heard about the BDS. This is the tragedy. This is the tragedy of the Palestinians with the BDS. We have no idea. And the question is, who authorized the BDS to represent the Palestinians? Who authorized them? Who? That's a very big question. How you can represent me? Who authorized you to represent me? We have no idea. But this is unfortunately how so many organizations involved, and the Palestinians have no idea. No idea. It's not based in Jenin, it's not based in Jericho, it's based in the United States, in the United Kingdom, in France, in Spain. We have no idea. We have no idea. Yeah.
I'm going to stop you here.
Yes, that would be great.
I don't know if you know, but Bassam is going on a flight right now. Back to
Yes,
Israel.
and
So,
flight tonight.
to
Yeah.
make sure that he's going to make it.
Yes, great,
up.
great.
So first of all, I want to thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Just want to say a few more words very quickly also for those of you who joined us from home. Thank you so much for being here in person and virtually. Just want to say a few words about Stand With Us. First of all, BDS, like even that Bassam right now said that a lot of Palestinians are not aware about what it is and what they are doing, whether it's a person. Just yesterday, a motion to adopt BDS in Queen Mary University passed. And this is something that we try to fight. And also this motion was voted, yes, like a lot of students voted yes for this motion that were Jewish students, which means that also among us, and I'm assuming that the majority of us over here in this room are Jewish, the majority of a lot of Jewish people also voted yes to that kind of a motion because they don't really understand what is standing behind it, what is standing behind BDS. They're basically thinking that BDS is a human rights organization, a human rights society, or whatever, and they're voting yes for that. They don't understand that beyond that is basically saying our denying of like having a Jewish country and having a Jewish people. So it's a very vibrant topic. It's necessary to fight BDS. It's necessary to educate yourself. It's necessary to take the tools and the skills that you took from this amazing conversation and to spread it out and to speak up. On that note, I want to tell you that my department, the campus department at StandWithUs UK, is working in 2 channels. The first channel, we have the Emerson Fellowship. Gil over here is one of our fellows. We have the Emerson Fellowship, which basically is a yearly program that's giving you all the education, skills, tools, funds, whatever you need to combat anti-Semitism on your campus and to fight anti-Semitism through education. And to support Israel. And part of that, we're doing monthly meetings with keynote speakers, 6 monthly meetings along the year. And you're going to be joined to an exclusive alumni network. And you're going to fly to LA. Everything is on us to meet more Emerson Fellows, because the Emerson Fellowship is an international program. We have it all across the world: South Africa, Australia, Netherlands, Israel, Canada, America, like Brazil, all over the world. And we're bringing all of our fellows together on March to Los Angeles to hear from more key speakers about how they can combat anti-Semitism and make their campus a safer place for Zionist and pro-Israel students. You don't need to be Jewish, obviously, to join to that kind of program. This is the first channel that we're working on. The second thing is very simple. If you want to create any Israel-related, any anti-Semitism program on campus, if you want to do something fun, if you want to do something educational, whatever it is, no matter what is the category, if it's Israel-related, you can come to us and we're going to help you with whatever you need. With support, with advisors, with our connections, with money, with whatever you need, but you just need to reach out to us. So I'm going to hang out over here a little bit after this event. So if you want to come and introduce yourself, that would be great. Would love also to grab a cup of coffee with you on me to understand more about the challenges on your campus, or not challenges. Maybe you just want to do something fun, which is also a plus. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining. And my last request, 2 more requests. First of all, I want to see this table empty. So okay, I'll take it some food with you. Second thing, just if you want, I would love us to have like a group picture with Bassam. So yes, if you are down for that, please come next to me. And for those of you back home, thank you so much for joining us, and we're going to keep you posted about our next events. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.